Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you're deep in research, right? You found that perfect, game-changing piece of information online, maybe a really insightful blog post or a critical policy document,
Hmm.
something that just clicks.
Yeah, that aha moment.
Exactly. You feel that little spark and then boom, that kind of familiar panic. How on earth do I cite this correctly? Especially with these referencing styles that demand, absolute precision.
Mm-hmm. The pressure's on.
So today, our mission is really to cut through that confusion. We're diving deep into oscola referencing, specifically for those, dynamic online things, websites and blogs.
Great.
And just for context, oscola, that's the Oxford Standard for Citation of Legal Authorities. It's renowned for its precision, which, as you can imagine, is absolutely critical when legal arguments hang on specific words.
Absolutely vital.
So our goal today, a clear, practical roadmap for navigating these digital waters.
And what's fascinating here, really, is that digital sources, they're not like print, are they? They come with these unique sort of ever-shifting challenges. I mean, they can change, they can move, they might even just disappear entirely. Poof, gone.
Yeah, the dreaded 404 error.
Exactly. Which raises a really important question for anyone building a serious argument. How do we make sure our references are robust, that they hold up?
Right. It's more than just ticking a box for compliance.
Absolutely. It's about intellectual honesty, really. It's about letting others rigorously check your sources, follow your trail, and fundamentally it's about establishing your own credibility.
Like bulletproofing your research, you said?
Precisely. Bulletproofing it against the internet's, let's say, volatile nature. So we're going to break down the core elements you always need. Who made it, what it actually is, exactly where to find it online, and crucially, when it was published and when you accessed it.
And those footnotes and bibliographies?
Ah, yes. Think of footnotes, those little numbers pointing down, and the bibliography, that big list at the end. They're like a dual-purpose trail of breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to follow your research journey can use them.
I appreciate that context. Seriously, it's not just rules for rules' sake. It's about trust, about the integrity of the work. So, okay, before we dive into the specifics, blogs versus websites, let's nail down some fundamentals. Those rock-solid principles for any online reference in oscola. What's the absolute must-have info, the core DNA?
Right. Okay, so for any online source, there's a set of crucial components. Non-negotiable, really. First up, the author. That could be a person, a group, an organization. You need to know who's behind it.
Credibility starts there.
Exactly. Second, the title of the specific piece you're citing. That's key for pinpointing the exact content, right? Like an entry title for a blog or a web page title.
Okay.
Next, the name of the larger platform. So the blog name or the main website title. Usually in italics. That helps it stand
You got it. Italics for the platform.
Fourth, the publication date, if you can find one clearly, gives context. Then, of course, the URL, the link, the digital address.
Makes sense. Author, title, platform, date, URL.
But here's the clincher, the bit that's uniquely critical and honestly quite fascinating for online stuff, the access date.
Ah, yes. You mentioned this. Why is this one so vital?
Well, it's not just a formality. It's our essential safeguard. It tells anyone checking your work exactly when you, the researcher, looked at that content. Think of it, especially in legal stuff, as your digital timestamp.
An immutable record.
Precisely. It protects your argument if that source suddenly vanishes or, gets updated online. Because digital content can be updated, moved, removed anytime. Without that access date, if a link dies or the page changes, your citation suddenly becomes untraceable.
Undermining everything.
Potentially, yes. It's your personal witness statement. I saw this on this date at this address. It accounts for the web's ephemeral nature.
So the access date isn't just a nice to have, it's our anchor. Like noting the print edition of a book, but maybe even more critical online because things change so fast.
Okay, got it. Anchor established. Let's steer towards our first digital territory, the blog post. Ever popular, sometimes a bit elusive. How do we capture its essence in oscola? This is where it gets interesting, right?
You've hit on it. Blogs are a prime example of dynamic content. And oscola gives us a very specific structure to handle that. The standard format goes like this. Author, entry title, blog name, publication date, URL, access date.
Okay, let's break that down piece by piece. Precision matters here.
Absolutely. So you start with the author's initial and surname, comma, then single quotes, the exact entry title of the post you're referencing.
Single quotes for the title. Okay.
After that, in parentheses and italics, you put the full blog name,
Okay.
comma, then the specific publication date of that entry. Close the parentheses.
Parentheses around the blog name and date.
Yes. Then, crucially, in angle brackets, those things you put the full URL.
Angle brackets for the URL,
Got it.
followed by the word accessed and the precise date you accessed it. Day, month, year.
Right, the anchor date.
Exactly. It's a meticulously constructed address. Let's use a concrete example from the source material. R. Moorhead, Solicitors First, Lawyer Watch, 25 March 2011, http.lawyerwatch.wordpress.com, 201 Medu 325, Selectures First Access, 13 April 2011.
Okay, R. Moorhead, Solicitors First, Lawyer Watch, 25 March 2011, URL access, 13 April 2011. That lays it out perfectly.
Complete roadmap. Anyone can find that specific entry as it was when published and when you saw it.
That's super clear for the ideal scenario. But thinking realistically, what's the most common mistake people make here, even with the format laid out? And yeah, what about when stuff's missing? That happens a lot with blogs, doesn't it? No clear author, maybe no publication date.
You're absolutely right to ask. A really common mistake. Simply forgetting that access date. Or maybe just dumping the URL without the other bits. Without the access date, like we said, the citation's vulnerable. As for missing info, yeah, that's where oscola shows its practical side. If there's no individual author named, you don't just leave a gap. You use the name of the organization that produces the blog.
Okay, like the Law Society or something.
Exactly. That becomes your author. Now, if you can't identify a specific person or an organization, maybe it's an anonymous post on some collective blog, then you start your footnote with the title of the blog entry itself in those single quotes.
Start with the title if there's no author at all.
Okay, and dates. Yes, sometimes you feel like a digital archaeologist hunting for that publication date.
Huh. I know that feeling.
If you just can't find it, that's cool. And let's you simply omit it. Just leave it out of the parentheses. But, and this is the crucial bit, again, you always provide that access date. That's your non-negotiable.
Your anchor.
Your anchor in the digital sea.
Yeah.
Your I saw it on this day, timestamp, even if the publisher didn't date it. It ensures you have a record, even if the blog changes tomorrow.
Okay, that makes sense. Always the access date.
And one more key detail for blogs specifically. Oscola keeps it simple here. There's no change in format between the footnote reference and the bibliography entry. Same structure for both.
Really? That does simplify things for blogs. Footnote equals bibliography entry format.
Yep. Makes blog referencing quite robust, even with those missing pieces. Oscola tries to give you the best shot at tracking things down, even when the internet isn't cooperating fully.
Right. Now, websites, at first glance, they seem similar to blogs, right? Online content. But I suspect there might be some subtle Oscola curveballs. What are the key differences we need to watch for when citing a general web page compared to a blog entry?
You're perceptive. There are subtle but important distinctions. It often comes down to how Oscola thinks about the type of content. For general web pages, the overall format is very similar, but we tweak the wording slightly. Author, web page, website publication date, URL access date.
Okay. So web page instead of entry title.
Exactly. That's the main difference you'll spot. Instead of entry title for a blog post, we use web page for the specific page you're citing within the larger website.
Why the different term? Just convention.
It's partly convention, but it also reflects how Oscola sees the content. A blog entry often implies a dated, article-like piece within a stream, like a journal article maybe. A web page is broader. It could be a static About Us page, a policy document, an information sheet.
Something not necessarily part of a chronological series.
Precisely. The title refers to that specific page or document within the larger site structure. So web page is a more general descriptor.
That's a great clarification. Makes the distinction much clearer. It's about the nature of the content. Okay, can you give us some concrete examples for websites, maybe one for a footnote, and show how it looks in the bibliography?
Sure thing. Let's illustrate. For a footnote, you might have something like Simon Meyerson, applying yourself to pupillage, lawcareers.net, 5 April 2011. www.lawcareers.net, information feature detail.spx.r, 35 accessed 12 April 2011.
Okay, applying yourself to pupillage is the webpage title. Lawcareers.net is the website. Makes sense.
Right. Now, for the bibliography, Oscola has this common convention specifically for individual authors that you really need to watch. Surname first, then the initial. Helps with alphabetizing the list.
Ah, the bibliography sorting rule.
Exactly. So that same source in a bibliography would look like this. Meyerson S., applying yourself to pupillage, lawcareers.net, 5 April 2011. www.lawcareers.net, information feature detail.aspx.r, 3355, accessed 12 April 2011.
Izzy Meyerson S versus Simon Meyerson. Small detail, big a difference for consistency.
It's one of those little things that shows you're paying attention to the style guide. Easy to overlook.
Definitely. So what about those tricky missing bits on websites? Just like blogs, I assume websites aren't always perfectly formatted with dates and authors, especially older ones. What's the protocol there, similar to blogs?
Indeed. And thankfully, the principles are quite consistent, which helps avoid confusion. If there's no publication date clearly visible on the web page, just like blogs, you give only the date of access.
Access date is the fallback. Again.
Always. It really underscores its importance. If there's no named individual author, again, similar logic.
Mm.
You default to using the name of the organization responsible for the web page.
Like a Solicitors Regulation Society or a government department.
Perfect examples. That becomes your author. And if you can't find either a specific person or an identifiable organization, maybe it's some archived page or an independent site, you simply begin the reference with the title of the web page itself.
Start with the web page title in single quotes.
Correct. You provide the most useful identifying information you have. And finally, one more simplification. If the author is an organization, like that government body or a large firm, Oscola says there's no difference between the footnote and the bibliography entry format.
So the surname first initial rule only applies to individual authors in the bibliography.
Exactly. For organizational authors, footnote and bibliography entries look the same. Simplifies things when dealing with institutional publications.
Okay, so Oscola really does anticipate these real-world scenarios of missing information. It provides clear, consistent guidelines. It feels quite robust, actually, designed to stand up to scrutiny. So let's bring it all together. What does this all mean for us, the diligent researchers, the legal professionals? What are the absolute biggest takeaways to remember for any online source, blog, website, whatever?
Well, if we connect this back to the bigger picture, I'd say the number one takeaway is the absolutely critical role of the access date for all online sources. It just cannot be overstated.
Because the web changes?
Exactly. The dynamic, frankly volatile nature of the web makes that access date almost as vital as the URL itself. It's not just a rule, it's about integrity. It provides that verifiable snapshot in time. Without it, your brilliant research could be questioned if a source shifts or vanishes.
Okay, access date first and foremost. What else?
Remember the patterns for handling missing authors or dates. Prioritize organizational names if there's no individual. If neither is present, default to the title of the specific piece. And always provide an access date, even if the publication date is missing.
Got it. Hierarchy for missing info.
And keep in mind those subtle distinctions, entry title for a blog post, web page for general site content, they reflect the nature of the source.
Right.
Ultimately, yes, the formats can seem rigid. But the underlying principle in Oscola isn't just about following rules blindly. It's about achieving, as you said earlier, forensic clarity.
Forensic clarity. I like that.
In fields like law, where every word matters, every argument needs meticulous support, your citations have to be that transparent, verifiable roadmap. Anyone scrutinizing your claims needs to be able to follow your steps precisely. It's the academic and legal version of leaving a perfect paper trail, ensuring your work is trusted, replicable.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. Forensic clarity. It elevates referencing beyond just a chore, doesn't it? It makes it an essential pillar of credible research. Okay, so armed with this knowledge, you, our listeners, now have a much clearer roadmap, I hope, for tackling those online references. Whether it's a thought-provoking blog or some essential snippet on a website, you can do it while upholding Oscola's high standards. No more guessing about what goes where. You've got the tools to make sure your sources are not just cited, but properly fortified. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the, well, sometimes intimidating, but hopefully much clearer world of digital referencing.
And maybe just one final thought to leave you with. It raises an important question for you, the listener, to perhaps ponder as this digital landscape keeps evolving, seemingly faster every day. With new platforms like social media posts, podcasts like this one, videos, even AI-generated content becoming sources people use. How do you think established referencing styles like Oscola will need to adapt? How can they maintain that accuracy, that integrity, that traceability in the future? It's definitely something to consider as we all continue to navigate and indeed cite this ever-expanding, ever-changing world of digital information.